a tall task. I honestly feel like you're going to get Xiaopeng onto something like a Rek'Sai or Nidalee. Nidalee's already banned. And just hope he snowballs out of control. Like, for me, that's it. I mean, to be fair, we wouldn't have expected Game 1 to be as close as it is. But still, it feels like that did come off of a lot of FPX's, I don't want to say arrogance, but just, you know, willingness to fight. We do see similar bans for DMO despite swapping over to blue side. The only thing they changed is on red, they banned Kate, to where in blue they are banning out the Ashe.
Yeah, the Ashe has started to become a pretty consistent ban, honestly. From blue, on the blue side, for teams that don't want to pick it, it's pretty much, okay, we need to get rid of this. We need to get rid of the hard engage out of that utility role.
I would say it is one of the awkward first picks to where something like Volibear definitely slots in the best, but Ashe Bard, I think, feel a bit weird to first pick on blue side, despite some teams doing it. But that's what feels great about this patch, right? Is that there is no standout like a Felios level champion that you need to pick.
One thing that has made it through the draft since Shubin got his Kalista banned away is this Caitlyn, which has snuck into the meta. It's starting to become a fairly regular pick, but I would say it's been banned more than it's been picked, honestly.
And even when we've seen it, it honestly hasn't looked good. We don't even see the LPL go for the build, which a lot of other regions do, where you go like IE and
BF sword items.
Yeah, exactly, because it makes your mid-game spike a lot better. We still see a lot of people go, you know, IE to double seal item.
Yeah, it's not even about spiking in the mid-game. It's about not falling off terribly in the mid-game, right?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
bridging the gap towards the late game. FPX, though, going to go with the Aphelios. It's something that has fallen very heavily out of favor recently in the LPL since 10-15, since the nerfs. But LWX still have to go with this one, and Tian going to steal this set away.
The thing about the Aphelios to me is at least it should still, you know, do relatively fine in the laning phase because you have the range with the Calibrum, you have Sasay coming out with the Severum, you're going to have some wave clear as well, so I can understand the pick. We have still seen it ever since the nerfs, and, you know, I don't think it looks unplayable. It looks like fine, and you can definitely fit it into a team composition.
We are going to see this Lux. This is something we've seen a few times now, or at least a couple of times.
Yep.
Where it's the Lux support, especially alongside Caitlyn. The bindings match up very nicely with the traps that you can get down to the bottom side. So you ain't going to be playing that one. I'm expecting it to be more defensive, though, with things like the Guardian. And we'll see if that is going to be the style, though.
The thing about the Guardians just synergizes so well with how you play Lux now ever since 2019, where her shield got buffed. Did get nerfed since then, but you know, you go the shield bash, you go revitalize, and it's all about the shielding. You do max W as well.
So we're going to see Xiaopeng going with his Trundle once again, as Chris going to get himself this Thresh, something that goes excellently with the Aphelios, giving him that mobility and escape options for such an immobile AD carry.
Exactly. We already see the direction both teams are going, right? We know that FPX, you know, want to get close to personal, want to get into these team fights where DMO want to play from a range, they want to set up from these sieges. Caitlyn is a unique champion to me that she doesn't even fit necessarily into like the poke style. I always use the word artillery to describe her because you want to get set up in front of a turret or dragon, put down your traps first. Like, everything needs to be perfect for Caitlyn to work out.
Or Lux lands one bind. That is also a situation where she could just 100-0 people with Caitlyn, especially with this BF sword build. Your headshots scale exceptionally well. So if someone like your LWX or doing B steps on a trap, it can go very wrong very quick.
I just don't have faith we're going to see it, honestly. I don't think we're going to see the headshot build. We have seen at least I think it was LNG and maybe one other team picking for Caitlyn so far. We did just see the normal, you know, like BF sword item into double zeal. But now I want to see where FPX go. I would expect them to keep stacking engage options. So things they're hovering definitely making sense. This, not an engage option, but it is a very Gimgoon-esque champion.
And Gimgoon has been looking fantastic on it as well. I believe his first game back with FPX, he played the Mordekaiser. Maybe it was his second game, but looked absolutely amazing. Just tore OMG apart.
The thing that at least makes sense, because I actually would have loved the Scion that he hovered, but you can say, oh, well, it's against a Trundle. He's going to steal your tank stats. But would have made the game impossible for Lux and Caitlyn. At least in this way, you know, you're going to build AP, so not going to be as massive for Xiaopeng to ult you.
I'm going to see Twilight going with this Syndra, though, not one of the weird picks that he often goes with. Goes back to his most picked of the split with the Cassiopeia banned. Obviously, Zilean is something that he's played less and less as the split has gone on. Now towards the top side. So we've got a long old hover on this Aatrox for Chalitza. We'll see what they're going to lock in here.
Yeah, I'm not sure because a lot of his main champions have been banned out. Actually going with the Jax, so we're going with the 1-4 style composition coming out from the side of DMO. And, you know, we've seen this lane matchup a few times. It is something where Mordekaiser can come out ahead if he can find those isolated Qs, but I think in early laning phase, Jax actually does well. Will be that mid-game point where Mordekaiser starts really bullying out this Jax.
So now it's going to be Doomby with the counter pick. This is something we talked about earlier. He gets the counter pick like 80% of the games for FPX. It's going to be the Orianna up against Syndra in the mid lane, which is not necessarily one-sided on either way.
Nope, it's pretty much a wash. We're just going to see both mid laners push waves back and forth. Of course, Syndra is stronger in the early game, so she can do much better in those 2v2s. You do offer a lot more CC and damage to where Orianna's much better in like the isolated 1v1 from your passive. But point is, we know FPX really want to find the team fights. They want to set up the wombo combos coming out with Zed and Orianna, set up for a big Moonlight Vigil coming out from LWX. Chris going to be very crucial with landing these death sentences. To our DMO, going to be all about the 1-4, setting up for Chalitza in a side lane. And the great thing about it, too, is that your core 4 is very strong. You already talked about the potential with the Caitlyn build, Syndra and Lux. I mean, you get hit by any CC. That is a one-shot combo coming out from both of those champions.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of damage that can follow through on a pick. But the question will be if they can find some picks. I will say, though, in game number 1, DMO found quite a few picks onto people like Tien and Crisp as well. And obviously, there was a few situations where people were getting away, but this is the kind of composition that you don't get to escape. If you're caught out of position, you are going to go down.
Yeah, the thing, though, is this is also the type of composition for DMO that it really needs to be ahead. Like, we need to see Xiaopeng providing safety to the bot lane because, again, we have 2 squishy champions. If LWX can, if Tien can find a gank onto LWX and Chris lane, it's going to be massive. If Shubin and Yui can't get set up for these sieges in the mid game, it's going to feel much different. But as we pointed out, you know, with that new Caitlyn build, with the buffs to her base damage and movement speed, she definitely is much more of a force now than she was before.
She certainly is. We'll see if she's going to be able to be that force as we head into Summoner's Rift here for game number 2. DMO showed us some stuff in the early game of game number 1. They were able to contest with FPX all the way up to 40 minutes, but then FPX managed to close things out. This time around, DMO have a composition that is looking to snowball. They're looking to get ahead early and stay ahead. The question for me is, can they execute it? Because inevitably, they're going to have to fight around these early dragons, because it doesn't matter what FPX drafts, they're still going to fight.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see where FPX are going to try to find their advantage. We could potentially see ganks in both side lanes. We already talked about bot lane, to where if Xiaopeng isn't playing around that bot lane, right? Again, very fragile Caitlyn and Lux. You have the setup coming out from the Thresh, but top lane is also somewhere you potentially can look. That just doesn't sound a lot like FPX. And I don't expect any ganks to come out in the mid lane. Maybe you try to burn a flash, but I don't honestly see you having any real threat on the Twyla. Orianna, not strong enough in the early game.
Yeah, Orianna not crazy damage, and also with the phase rush, neither of these mid laners going to be looking for necessarily huge damage or 2v2 kills in the mid lane, unless someone oversteps, unless someone steps out of position. It's going to be much more around the objectives and roaming to other lanes.
Ooh, LWX
Hang on, Shubin's already out of position here. The Ignite went down.
I mean, Shubin's coming out ahead, actually. Well. Yeah. But, of course, LWX also does have the Severum, but had to burn heal. So we see 2 Summoner Spells coming out for both bot lanes. And actually, LWX having to recall.
Damn, that is a huge lead to find for the side of DMO. And what did we talk about with this Lux and Caitlyn? It's an incredibly strong lane. Now, Xiaopeng, he knows that he has the advantage because his bot laners can move over. Tien has to smite very early to keep himself healthy. Might just have to flash here. The flash followed, though. Xiaopeng underneath the tower will get away with his life. Crisp is here, but LWX still not close enough.
Yeah, and also, so great to see Xiaopeng taking advantage of what happened in the bot lane, but also something I want to highlight, we see Yui going for the Aftershock, which I watched the Lux that was played there in the KT versus T1 game, and they actually ran Aftershock, so gonna do much better in, let's say if you do get ganked, right, being able to survive those instances, you're going to still have the strength that you get from Sealed Bash and Revitalize, so really interesting to see the kind of different builds and different takes on Lux as she's re-entering the meta.
And it's important to mention that this is not the same Lux that you see in solo queue, right? This is not the one that's building Spell Thief, going Luden's first item and just trying to burst mage. This is very much a utility support still. This is a real support.
Exactly. And the thing is, for people who don't remember, this was meta last summer. We had Caitlyn Lux. Oh my god, we had Caitlyn Lux so much. I remember it was always against like Tom Kench lanes. But it was because, at least last year, she got those massive buffs on her W. Of course, they were nerfed by now. That's why she's in the meta anymore. But still, you are still played in the same vein. You are very much about supporting and assisting the team with those shields.
So now we're going to be contesting for this bottom side scuttle, and Tian was forced away. Tian's still level 2, by the way, after dying early on. Xiaopeng has a massive advantage in the jungle.
Great play. I was going to say, because we even see Chalitza's taking the scuttle crab, so great job by the observers showing that now for us. And doing a great job of using their bot side pressure. We've talked about this. DMO have always been a team in the early game, are very competent, understand their comps well, know how to find their advantages. It's just after that where we see them begin to struggle.
Chalitza realizing he can't extend this 1v1 with that many minions alive. That would be suicide for him. He's going to have to move back around the long way before getting back in and trying to clear up those minions. We're going to see more skirmishing down on the bottom side as well, as Crisp takes a hefty tap there on the bottom side. Important to mention as well, Zhubin managed to get himself an early recall off, and he's already got a call for himself. Now Xiaopeng moving in on the top side with Gimgoon. That was a very nice death grasp to keep him second.
Yep, and we need to remember when it comes to this top 2v2 that FPX at least have mixed damage, right? So that's always better. It's going to be harder for Chalitza to itemize against. And FPX also had the wave, so very easy for them to back off from that gank from Xiaopeng. But hey, hope Xiaopeng just clearing the ward after the scrying orb. I got too excited.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Xiaopeng's like, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We almost got it last time. Let's give it another go. But just going to be clearing the vision and setting up for future ganks potentially. Bear in mind, Gimgoon didn't have to flash, so he's still relatively safe.
And Twyla getting the blue buff just feels so bad for Duimbi. Already low on mana, has to recall down to burn his TP right away.
It's getting bullied under the tower. This is one of the things about Jack's top. You're really going to struggle in the early game unless Xiaopeng just consistently moves up here. Tian hanging around in the brush. He is a level down, though, on Xiaopeng, who surely knows something's going on here. He's going to step forward a little bit too much, but nice pillar, denies everything.
Yep, so great job. We see Xiaopeng just trying to help Chalitza find a good recall. And the thing is, Jax actually in this early laning phase doesn't do too bad if you can dodge out on those isolated Qs. This really is a response from the giant wave that Gimgoon got to build up when Chalitza went for that scuttle. Now, you know, both jungles hovering. So nice job to see Gimgoon taking advantage of that. But actually, CS is even on both sides, so Chalitza is feeling fine.
And this is the power of the trading that we can see on our screens right now from Caitlyn and Lux as a combo. The shielding out of Lux is really potent, like a lot stronger than you're going to be expecting across the course of this game, especially with a supported build. But also Caitlyn, especially in the early game, is just exceptional at out-trading other AD carries.
Yep, and the thing that's always made Caitlyn a bit of an awkward pick and competitive when she's, you know, not kind of obscenely strong is you don't actually have an attack speed steroid, which obviously for an AD carry, I'm sure you understand as an AD carry player, is actually massive. That is why her mid-game hasn't always felt as good as some other AD carries.
Even though, like, if you look at Tristana, which is a comparable AD carry to Caitlyn, in the late game, they're both exceptionally long-range AD carries that want to do auto-attacks, right? The biggest thing about Tristana's kit is her Q. The bomb in the later stages of the game pretty much doesn't matter. It's all about the Q and just spamming out as many auto-attacks as possible.
Yep, and we see Xiaopeng going aggressive.
Hang on, Tian could be in trouble here. He's got the haymaker. There's
ward.
a lantern out, but Chris can't actually get this one because it was warded out. This is going to be the second death already for Tian.
And DMO playing so well around this early pressure, and I mean, that one just kind of gifted over to Xiaopeng. He just walked in the enemy jungle. Tian's right in front of him, and it's like, oh, hey, thanks. Great warding coming out as well to make sure that he wasn't able to escape.
And, you know, Xiaopeng, in terms of score, is looking like Tian did at the start of game number 1.
True. And we haven't really touched on it. We kind of talked about how these comps feel generally. But when you see a Caitlyn and Lux, this is a bot lane that definitely just wants to keep pushing these waves, wants to break down plates. So that's why I highlighted we want to see Xiaopeng constantly hovering around bot side, which he has done. So we see it right. They're using the bot lane pressure to take Dragon. Their bot lane is getting plates, all according to plan for DMO.
Feels pretty great for DMO. And, you know, towards the later stages of the game, when we look at these two compositions, there is an Orianna, there's an Aphelios on the side of FPX, but Caitlyn is a pretty damn strong late game AD carry as well. You've got the Syndra that doesn't really fall off later on in the game. But importantly, in the side lane, you're going to have a Jax. Jax is exceptional in the late game. Not so exceptional right now, though, unless this Counter-Strike lands. Maybe he can find himself a 1v1 Chalitza.
Yeah, massive, and this is actually what we expect from the matchup early on. Chalitza playing it extremely well, Game2 not respecting. Mordekaiser's really not going to come online until he does pick up that first component, whether it's something like a Haunting Guys, or I wonder if he's going to go towards an early, like, let's say Kindle Gem and work his way towards a Protobell. But point is, it's not the point in this matchup. Chalitza playing well, great usage of the Counter-Strike as you talked about.
And I'm honestly amazed that Chalitza is able to just win out that 1v1 early on, because when you think about Jax, you think of him as this hyper late carry, right?
And it's even weirder, too, because you think, okay, well, he counters auto-attack champions, which, you know, Mordekaiser is an AP champion with spells, but it's deceiving, because I used to think the same way. I saw it played out many times, like, oh, God, actually, Jax's damage, you know, completely outdoes Mordekaiser in the early laning phase.
Especially thanks to Conqueror as well.
Yeah.
Because the longer the fight goes on, the better Jax gets. Thanks to his own kit, and then Conqueror factors in. But then also, his ultimate gives him that MR, so Mordekaiser doesn't have the same burst.
And that's why I said it's really about Game2 coming out ahead in these early trades with the isolated Q damage, you know, poking Jax down a little bit and then trying to find the all-in. But if they're just going to go toe-to-toe in the early laning phase, you know, 100 HP for 100 HP, she's going to be able to come out ahead every time.
Yeah, feeling good so far here for Chalitza as he grabs himself a solo kill. And let's bear in mind, Gimgoon, he was the MVP in game number 1. Gimgoon has been looking fantastic, especially on this Mordekaiser recently since coming back into the team. So far, so good for DMO. They've got themselves the gold lead.
It's funnier, too, because this is a champion more synonymous with Gimgoon.
Yeah.
Like, this is a champion you know Gimgoon for, having a much worse time than last game.
So, FPX, off to a bit of a rough start, it has to be said. However, game number 1, DMO did manage to find themselves some advantages across the game. It didn't seem to matter. So, what's the game plan here for FPX? Like, what is the play to get themselves back in the game? Or is it just kind of sit back, relax, and try and scale up?
I honestly think for FPX, they just take this one slow. I think the next plan of attack for FPX is going to be matching Xiaopeng with where he places the Rift Herald, just kind of making sure that they aren't able to make some massive play, you know, take a turret in mid or bot lane as of yet. But take it slow, because once we do start getting some items down, I do feel like FPX, if they close the gap, will win out in team fights, right? The question is, can they get in reaching distance?
Well, FPX, in true FPX fashion here, have said, oh, you want us to play slow? Well, we'll try and set up a dive on the bottom lane. Xiaopeng is here, though, so nothing that they can do to fully push this one in. Be able to get themselves another turret play, though, so not too bad for FPX here. They're still going to find some advantage.
And this is the thing why I understood the FLS and the Caitlyn, right? Because you do have a lot of range to play with yourself, so Caitlyn not going to be able to bully you out too hard. And I mean, now you have a plate advantage in the bot lane. Not something we expected.
No, not something you ever really expect with a Caitlyn in the game. But Shubin did recall there, so now he's got a BF sword for himself. Does mean that LWX either can stick around but be at a disadvantage or recall for himself. But it will be an opportunity, though, for Shubin to potentially find a plate for himself, try and answer that we just saw in favor of FPX.
It's something I didn't get to touch on too much early on because we had so much happening around bot lane, but Xiaopeng also definitely has way more pressure on the mid 2v2, like we said, coming out of draft, right? Being able to just put down that pillar behind the Orianna. Ooh, getting the dive.
I don't think the dive is properly going to kick off here, as DMO just going to try and get this tower low. Herald is available here. Xiaopeng drops that one down. And you said the FPX had a turret plate advantage, Lyric, but you cursed it, I'm afraid, because this tower is going to completely drop now, so there are no turret plates left.
I was talking with Hysterics about this on cast the other day, but I don't feel like when I listen to any of you guys, that like when you say something, the exact opposite happens right after. But with me, it happens so often.
It's like when you literally just a moment ago were saying, FPX, they need to play this slow. Immediately, they start posturing for a tower dive. It's like, oh, LWX has a turret plate advantage. Immediately, the next tower goes down.
And the funnier thing about it is DMO used the window of FPX having to, you know, back off, reset after the potential dive they tried to set on bot side. Toilet then was able to push out the wave, and that's how they just set up that play on bot side. So DMO taking advantage of the potential play FPX tried to make.
Yeah, really nice stuff from DMO. And this is what we were talking about in game number 1 as well. When it comes to the early game, this is when DMO looks best, when they can pull off these plays, when they can read the map and counterplay what their opponent wants to do. And they found themselves a 3,000 gold lead because of it.
They did also draft 3 winning lanes,
yeah.
But still, they are the last place team in the league, and you don't feel like that necessarily means anything, but they've done a great job of playing around that so far. And I'm surprised Chalitza actually the highest gold earner in the game so far.
Yeah, nice stuff from Chalitza.
Oh, he's
on the
played
top
the
side.
Rune King.
I don't know how many turret places he's grabbed for himself so far. Xiaopeng hooked, but Walks away.
Does look like 2. But still, yeah, has the Blade of the Rune King up against just the haunting guys for the side of Game2, so
That's pretty great.
he's going to do great in that 1v1.
Also, that Blade of the Rune King, later on in the game, the split push threat that Jax offers is terrifying. He will annihilate towers.
And the thing is, right, we've said it many times, in Season 10, we have not seen these sort of compositions work out. Like, it just hasn't happened. It's so hard when you're giving the enemy Chalitza opportunity to find this all in, but when you're giving the enemy a potential 5v4 team fight around something like an Elder Drake.
Death Realm going to come through here from Gimgoon. He's not actually wanting the 1v1. He just wants to keep Chalitza around for the rest of the team to arrive. Flash Leap Strike. There's a counter-strike coming through as well. Might have been enough as Twyla arrives, but it looks like the Lantern saves him.
It was oh god.
Oh, hang on. We're still going. Gimgoon forced to flash here. Squee arrives, jumping on in. The laser goes just wide here. So does the stun. Nice fancy footwork for Gimgoon, but the final Q's there.
Hey, that's also what we said, right? I mean, they missed like 5 out of their 6 abilities, but hey, if one of them hits.
That's the thing. There are so many abilities flying your way. DMO now going to find himself a 1v1 with Xiaopeng. He's just going to use the Shockwave to disengage.
I'm just going to proc that phase rush, make sure that Xiaopeng can't get in range to look for this 1v1. Also doesn't have any mana himself, but...
Oh, Chalitza's teleported in. He wants himself some early kills. The Mecha Kingdom's Jax looking damn terrifying. Jumps in with the Leap Strike, gets the stun. One more auto. Chalitza with a solo kill onto DMB. Now the rest of the squad arriving though. Xiaopeng trying to support him. Leap Strike onto a ward. Everybody is here from FPX. And Chalitza, you got 1 kill for yourself, but you pay with your life.
But still, I was going to say, DMO are able to answer both turrets, mid and top. They should be able to take down this one, but Twyla definitely going to pick up a top lane turret.
Don't know if they can finish this one off mid. FPX are going to try and force the play. Might have stayed a little bit too long, but look at the combo. Look at the health bars on FPX now. Shubin would just need 1 more headshot. The ace in the hole goes through. LWX tanks it because he's got his Severum available here.
Yep, and LWX being a bro, something we can all appreciate.
Caitlyn is so obnoxious. This is what you were talking about, right? The artillery carry. It's set up outside of that turret. It's so difficult to defend against.
But the thing is, and it's why people have always kind of strayed away from it, is it is very hard to execute. She has typically, again, I don't know if it's a bit different now with kind of the build that people are going with. I think we're going to need to see more, but she's always been the type of champion with the way the comps are built that if you misstep once, it feels extremely hard because then you don't get, the artillery set up in front of the enemy turret. But we haven't seen that thus far. DMO have been playing extremely well.
I think it's important to mention as well that the reason for that artillery style is the traps, right? The traps are one of the most important parts of Caitlyn's kit, and I think one of the most underrated parts of Caitlyn's kit as well, because the zone control that she offers in those scenarios is just exceptional.
I love zone control as a word because obviously the other massive part, the big distinction, for Caitlyn as an AD carry is her range, right? So the range plus the trap zoning is a great word for Caitlyn, and it's really how you need to play the game.
So, moment of truth here as we're going to see the recall for Shubin. Let's see, as the IE will be finished, what the second item is likely to be here. The crit cape comes through and denies any speculation because that goes into all of the items that she could potentially build.
Yes, it does. So we have to wait and see, but DMO going to end up picking up this Rift Herald. I mean, no outer turrets even left up, so they're going to be able to use this to find value somewhere. So what I expect is they're going to probably use it wherever Chalitza is going to be split pushing, so most likely the bot lane, and try to open up an even longer lane for him.
Oh, nice pillar there as Xiaopeng grabs himself the Herald. Denies any answer from FPX. Let's bear in mind here that the gold lead is continuing to extend. We're almost at 4,000 ahead in favor of DMO here, 3.5 at very least. And it's good to see that a lot of this gold is going into players like Chalitza and Twyla, because when it comes to the mid game, these are the guys that are going to come online the hardest and be able to carry you through, be able to find further objectives.
Yeah, definitely. DMO, spreading out their gold in the right places. I mean, having 2 dragons now, the next one coming up in 1 minute, you're going to have the push in side lanes, as we can see. Chalitza definitely wins out 1v1 against anyone on FPX's side right now. And even Caitlyn Lux. They're going to be able to secure a push in the mid lane, which is going to be massive. So we should expect DMO now to transition to getting vision in bot side river and a bit into FPX's bot side jungle.
One of the nice things about Caitlyn Lux as well is with the Lucent Singularity, you can set up the backline minions for the Caitlyn's built open Peacemaker, so you can essentially just one-shot the minion wave as soon as you get into that mid lane. So it becomes very, very difficult for LWX and Crisp to match that level of wave clear that's available, at least until the Hurricane comes through for LWX. going to be contested here.
Oh, wow.
Taken by Crisp.
Yeah, Crisp losing half of his health.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage coming out from the looks. As we're going to just see the Herald drop to the mid lane. DMO deciding, hey, you're going to get the blue buff, we're going to get a tower. Seems like a fair trade to us. And Shampunk taking way more tower shots than he really wanted to, but tier 2's a tier 2. Now Drake spawning in 3 seconds and Crisp having to recall. This should belong to DMO as well.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to transition that quite easily. As we see Doonby is on the top side. Of course, he has TP, but look at his mana. It is quite low.
And let's just quickly mention, this is an Infernal Drake, and this is the 3rd Drake of the game for DMO. They're going to find themselves on Soul Point at 18 minutes into the game. This is fantastic for DMO.
Yeah, I don't think FPX are ever going to get to a point where we're going to get to see their comp come online, honestly. It feels like DMO are accelerating the pace of the game so fast, FPX just have no answer.
And this is the problem with DMO, right? Because I see these games every now and then from DMO. I see this kind of early game, and I'm like, this is the team we've been waiting for. This is the team that you can get excited about, that can take an early game like this against FPX. And then you look at the scoreboard, and you realize that they're 1-13. We've only seen this kind of game 6 times out of their 32 games so far. Yes, they can look good, but we just never get to see this consistent.
You know, it's another interesting thing to realize is the fact that it's also a very low-kill game, so it's not like, you know, mechanics and those sort of things that have had to come and play. We haven't seen any team fights. It's just, again, DMO drafted a bunch of winning lanes, played around it beautifully, and just kind of out-macroed FPX. And to move over, we see a Zeal coming out for Shubin.
We do see the Zeal, which does mean that we're probably going to see something like the Rapid Fire Cannon. We've also seen Hurricane builds coming out recently as well on the Caitlyn. Depends how you want to play the game, but with this style of team fights that you'd expect, I feel like Rapid Fire Cannon could be the option.
I also agree because it's also a game where you don't need wave clear because Caitlyn's not an AD carry who just brings wave clear inherently with her kit, but you know you have the Lux, you have the Syndra especially, so that's not something you have to worry about. And especially when we've talked about that, for DMO, it's all about playing at, you know, at an arm's length from FPX. Rapid Fire Cannon, definitely an item that makes sense.
So, we're going to return to our quiet game that we've had for ourselves here as DMO continue to slowly but surely increase their advantage. As I say that, cast a curse. We're going to see a fight. Shubin has been found by Gimgoon, and this, it doesn't matter what you want to say about Caitlyn's new build. You don't ever get to beat Mordekaiser in a 1v1.
Nope, you definitely do not. So great pick coming out from them, but not going to transition into anything other than that gold.
Chalitza doing Jax things on the bottom side of the map. LPX flashes and still gets stunned, but there's no follow-up there.
I think that hitbox is kind of busted.
Yeah, it really is. Tian is just going to miss out on the journey of the Blasco and Chalitza. It's a creative way out, but it's a way out nonetheless. He didn't even lose health.
Nope, and I mean, again, this is the win condition for the side of DMO, but this is also what we talked about earlier, right? Because, sure, it didn't happen when anything really matters for FPX, but this is the problem that you just ignore the Jax in the side lane, and the problem with this meta is typically you can come out with more from the neutral objectives than a split pushing threat can come out within a side lane, and maybe not this game. Actually, for DMO, you start to wonder, do they even want to bring this to an Elder point where, you know, you give FPX a chance to steal it? Maybe you just go for some kind of Baron play and try to siege down through mid.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about that in Game 1 as well, right? Where it was like, hey, FPX, maybe just deny this soul purely for the fact that you don't want Elder to enter the game. You don't want Elder to be a factor. Could be an argument for DMO here.
You give over Dragon, which sounds weird, right? Because I'm saying for DMO not to take Infernal Soul.
Yeah,
that sounds crazy.
Last game, I think it was a better argument because it was Cloud Soul. With Infernal Soul in play, I think it's worth it because you look so much better in that potential team fight because of Infernal Soul.
Like, you're right. You are completely factually right, but I'm scared thinking of these two teams that that's going to be the way FPX come back and win.
Whenever you're talking about FPX, it's not about what's factually correct. It's not about what works on the textbook, right? It's about FPX being this team that nobody could really read properly. Like, they went to the World Championship, everyone was like, this team's terrible, this team can't win, and then suddenly 3-0 in the final.
I feel like that's LPL as a whole, though, right? Where there are certain situations we get into here that it's like, sure, we can talk about, like, what's better, what should work out right, but it feels like typically we see the opposite happen. I mean, again, you think about all the LPL gold graphs, right? LPL gold graphs are a meme. And it's true, it happens so often where we see one team winning 3 to 5K the whole time, then we do get to the Elder fight where the superior team fighting team is just like, oh, hey, cool. And then they win.
Oh, we could use our mechanics? Sweet! Get themselves the team fight and just annihilate. And FPX is definitely one of those teams that falls into that category, especially when DMB is on the Orianna. Beautiful teamfight champion, the Aphelios as well. That combination of ultimates is disgusting if Infernum's available. But that's a long way off just yet. 24 seconds until the Infernal Drake here. Gimgoon finds himself in a 1v1, but he's got some help from his friends here.
Oh, what?
Pulls Chalitza into the Death Realm. I don't know if that was the best decision you've ever made, Gimgoon. Gonna use the stopwatch to keep himself safe, but the counter strike's there, and Chalitza survives. Leap strikes out. Xiaopeng trying to get away, but there's a nice little Moonlight Vigil to finish that one off. 1-for-1 here.
I need to stop because I have no idea why Gimgoon did that. Tien was right there.
Yeah,
Tien was right there.
He had his entire team there, and he's like, I can 1v1 this, Jax. I got this. You don't have that. But importantly, Xiaopeng died. So smite advantage very heavily in favor of FPX.
Chalitza coming in from the flank.
It's going to be 4v4, but Chalitza's just dodged everything there. Leap strike over. I did not know you could leap strike to a blast cone. Here we go. Dragon, though, very low. Shockwave going to go wide. But the Infernal Drake is taken by FPX now. Box used to disengage as they're trying to get themselves out of this fight. LWX surviving, but the stun goes through. No follow-up CC, and the ace in the hole not going to be enough.
I mean, still, that feels... Ooh, where is she still going?
DMO do not want to let this one go. We talked about the power of that Thresh pick. The flashbind, not ideal from Yui.
It's also very awkward, right? Because we're seeing a Syndra Caitlyn Lux run at a team that does have a bunch of bruisers in the Thresh. And like, this is not a situation even DMO really want themselves. Unless they do hit that binding and can kill them from the range like we said, they're not going to come out ahead in that fight.
And it's so unfortunate that the reason Xiaopeng went down as well was trying to get to Chalitza to save the day on that earlier play that happened before the Dragon. And then Gimgoon once again ruining everything, taking Chalitza into the Death Realm. Ruins it for both teams.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, Xiaopeng, what a scrub. Can't predict that Gimgoon's going to hard troll. Like, what?
Oh, poor Xiaopeng. Well, we're past 20 minutes, and that means FPX are probably going to look for Baron, right? It happens every time.
Chalitza and Twyla are bot. Neither of them have TP.
Oh, no. Well, Chalitza, hey, he can get a tier 2. I don't think that's worth it.
How does this happen?
Because we're watching the LPL lyric.
And all of our top teams do this. FPX aren't even a top team right now, technically, but holy.
Emotionally, they are.
They are emotionally a top
Their
team.
fans believe that they are. But they are right now. For anyone that doesn't know, for anyone who's just tuning in that doesn't watch the LPL, FPX are in 8th place right now. They're 8-6. And they're on the cusp of, if they can't win the next couple of series, there's a very real risk of them not making playoffs.
They're also undefeated with Gimgoon, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
They've not lost a series with Gimgoon once again. You know, kind of like a throwback to spring.
Hang on. There was no trap. Shubin, your trap was so late. That was a kill opportunity. LWX should have gone down there. Well, that feels bad.
Munchables has spoken. The AD carry aficionado himself.
I played a lot of Caitlyn. FNX Saber, thank you for all of your glorious tutorials.
Oh, Jesus. But now we're going to see DMO go back to trying to have this Jax, you know, pushing aside. But guess what? FPX have Baron. They feel fine just, you know, 5-man force mid. You can even just have Gimgoon. You can have Gimgoon answer.
Interesting. Moonlight Vigil going to be used just to try and force some positioning here on towards the tower. There are 3 traps there, but there's no real way for Shubin to step up and contest in any way. LWX having to tank the tower for a couple of shots as it goes down here. Look at where Chalitza is on the map, though. He's sieging onto an inhib against Gimgoon.
That's all he can do, though, right? Like, he really adds no value to this team fight. He went for Blade of the Rune King into Triforce, so he's full-on built for this split-pushing role.
Come on, Rage Blade next. Let's see. Now he's going to go Spear of Shojin.
Oh, yeah.
You can see by the BF sword.
I miss Spear of Shojin.
Jax players everywhere miss Spear of Shojin.
It was such a fun item in general.
It was busted as all
It was
hell.
busted, which made it fun. It was awesome.
It was fun for everyone except... Oh, no, hang on. It was fun for no one except the player that was building.
How often do top laners get to feel like, you know, they're having like a good meta for themselves? But actually, speaking of top laners, Chalitza is heading down. Well, heading up, I should say, because we're in top lane.
That's true. He's going to join up with his team here. And FPX are just going to dip. They've got the Shrelias. They zoom away.
Like, realistically, FPX needs some kind of fight in front of Dragon or Baron because, right, they're not going to be able to, like, get past DMO's wave clear. And their comp is so short range, you know, they want to win out in a team fight.
Imagine one of your team's biggest strengths being like, hey, we're probably going to sneak a Baron at some point just after 20 minutes. So during the mid-game, you're just going to have to deal with that at some point. That feels like a legitimate part of playing against FPX.
I mean, FPX, IG, JDG, Top Esports, like, it feels like it's part of the resume to be a top team in LPL. It's like, you need to be able to sneak some Barons.
Even V5 have done it a couple of times.
True.
Even V5.
Hey.
They're trying to, they realize that's what you got to check that box. WE Sooning, we're yet to see it, guys. Come on, get it together.
But Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, so we're seeing FPX, you know, forcing with 5 men hovering around, so DMB does get the push remain way into River, gonna get that vision set now. We've continued to set it right. FPX feel great in 5v5s. If Gimgoon and Tien can get on top of Twyla, Shubin, or Yui, they should pretty much just go down. Gimgoon has flash up, he has his ultimate available, and we still don't see QSS coming out for Shubin. Actually, we don't see QSS really coming out for anyone.
Yeah, nobody respecting the Death Realm right now. I mentioned it before. Shubin, he's got 3 items, but if Gimgoon gets him in the Death Realm, especially with Tabbies and that Bramble Vest, there is no way that Shubin wins that fight. DMB going to try and place that ball, getting ready for a shockwave onto the entire team. Shubin steps forward to get a headshot in there. Dragon going to be the target. Xiaopeng pulled into the Death Realm. This should mean Tian can just finish the Dragon off, get himself that Infernal Drake. Jalisa will try and answer with a kill for himself, but Showstopper going to ruin everything. DMO to get the first kill of the fight. Jalisa gets out with his life here. 1 for 1 as Yui does go down as well. It's a very weird fight that we just witnessed, but FPX get the Drake.
It's because the timing was so weird from Gimgoon to go into Trundle, pull him to the Death Realm, and I don't see why Tien was locked down so long. So we're still posturing.
Hang on. Chalice's just teleporting back in. They really want this fight. I feel like I've seen this once already this game. They're chasing through the bottom lane, and there's so much disengagement from FPX, there's nothing you can do.
And again, you're just still, it's still just very awkward,
that
right?
was Chalice's TP. He's a split pusher. He just used his TP for no reason.
Yes. True. Bruh.
I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to respond, but point is, we saw the coordination there for the side of FPX. We saw Gimgoon pull Xiaopeng into the Death Realm, and like I said, it took Tien a bit of time to get over to the Dragon and actually, you know, secure that one for himself. He did do it. Of course, Gimgoon did go down for, you know, forcing that play, but at the same time, Dooney found a great, I want to say, like, snipe in a sense, you know, hitting a great Q onto Yui the second he stepped forward. So 1 for 1, and now FPX are stacking Infernals.
FPX are getting scarier and scarier. And the dream of that Infernal Soul is getting further and further away because, as you rightly mentioned, Gimgoon, with that Death Realm, can just ruin Xiaopeng's day, deny any kind of smite from him. And there's no spellbooks on the side of DMO. It's not like someone else can step up to do the smiting. It's not like anyone has any distinct burst to take away the Dragon anyway. So
I also feel like if we're getting to a fight that's not, you know, Gimgoon trying to secure Dragon, MR has so much value for FPX this game because, you know, Gimgoon goes through the fight, he flashes on top of Shubin, pulls him into Death Realm. Well, the other 4 members are now pretty much just dealing with Syndra and Lux. So, you know, you're going to get a ton of value out of MR if FPX can coordinate these fights correctly. And we saw in the last Death Realm, right? We still see no QSS coming out from Shubin. He's going to go down every single time. We even have a Thorn Mail coming out for Gimgoon at this point.
he's starting to become very difficult to deal with. And Shubin, I think, realizing that he has to do most of the team's damage during these fights, especially when it comes to trying to get onto the carries because they're going to be able to play from so far back. He needs to be able to just get that 1 or 2 autos in with the headshots. An extra BF sword will certainly help. He gets caught by the hook of Chris, but having to use a stopwatch pretty early here. Showstopper comes in onto Twyla. He's in trouble. Doesn't get his ult out before going down. It means they get to trade 1 for 1 here. Jalisa is on Stuart B, but Chris, the perfect death sentence. They're both low, and the GA came on through. LWX trying to fight. You don't get to 1v1 Jax. What are you doing, LWX? That is not the play. He's going to answer with his life. Ace in the hole denied. His doing beat just about gets away.
Gimgoon is left in a really awkward position. Okay, he's going to get away, but man, that fight was all over the place. We saw Twyla trying to zone out Doonby. Chalitza then flashes in, gets on top of him, keeps him out of the fight. Twyla goes down instantly to LWX, and I mean, this is a Baron.
This is definitely Baron going the way of DMO.
No, we have two TPs, Munchables.
Oh, hang on. Hang on. We got a TP here from DoinB. We just saw Gimgoon head back to base. Yui going to get the route only onto 1, though. Xiaopeng playing defensive here. As Shubin still hitting the Baron. He's not realized that this is definitely over. Game2 now stepping forwards. Still be there.
Ooh, Twyla?
Here we go. The fight continues as Twilight arrives. Zonya's going to be used from Game2 to try and keep himself safe. The shield is nice, but it's not enough. The shockwave! Oh, do and B, that was gorgeous. Scatter the Weak, though, from Twilight is going to match it. And somehow, we end out even.
But this is why we said this is super carry Doomby once again. Doomby has been the star of FPX this year, has been the best performing member, has been the member to consistently pull them across the finish line, and that ult was so massive.
That was disgusting, honestly, from Doomby. It was so close to just finishing everyone off as well, so close to finishing Twilight.
I mean, and it felt like FPX were just once again going to get ace in that fight, but you know, we see this fight starting. I said Twyla was trying to zone off Doomby. Great ult coming out from Tien. Moonlight Vigil hits from LWX to secure that one. Good ultimate once again coming out from Doomby, even in this clip, to keep Chalitza off him. You talked about Chris coming with a very clutch hook death sentence once again. This was a bit questionable from LWX.
It's using the flash. Using the flash to get into melee range of a Jax. Like, what has to go through your head as an AD carry for that to seem like a good idea?
He isn't a Felios, but I still don't agree
But
with
your
it.
auto attacks don't hit him.
That's true.
You don't get the lifesteal if you got auto. The shockwave as well, just amazing.
I like the tangent.
By the way, play of the game happening on the screen.
The tangent was smooth.
All right, Drake's coming up again. This will be solved for DMO. Death Realm in play, though. A QSS is there for Xiaopeng. The respect finally comes through from DMO. And this is something Caitlyn offers as well. Look at those traps denying entry to the pit. Infernal Soul gain now for DMO. Game2 wants a way in. Shubin with a QSS. Gets out a crisp death sentence.
Now I wonder what the play is from FPX. Do you slow down and wait for... well, guess what? You're not going to get a chance to slow down, I guess, because DMO are going straight to Baron. DMO want to force this fight right now.
So the big question to me is the cooldown on Shubin's QSS, because if Game2 can get him into Death Realm, it's still really dicey for Shubin. 6,000 on the Baron, though. They're just going to try and force this one. The Death Realm synergy has to be amazing. Oh, they stole it. Tian, you beauty. Now he's into the rest of the team. He's going to go down for his trouble, but that's 4 Baron buffs.
Well, now FPX are going to be very, very happy to slow down this game, wait for that Elder, and do nothing ever since, because guess what? DMO going to have such a hard time sieging down the base against Baron minions.
Let's take another look, because I was expecting this to be Death Realm shenanigans, but Tian just walks in.
Game2's not here. Look at the minion. Game2 is not here, but still, we see Shockwave just chain into a nice smite. I mean, goes down in the end, but it doesn't matter.
Lyric, this is DMO against FPX. This is 17th against World Champion. How is it this close and this intense 2 games in a row? I kind of expected after game 1 for everything to return to normality and FPX to kind of crush game 2. Is this DMO playing exceptionally, or is this FPX really not looking good right before playoffs?
I feel like this game at least was a byproduct of the draft, right? We said, hey, 3 winning lanes on the side of DMO. We did see outplays in some lanes, like Chalitza really outplaying Game2 in top lane early in laning phase, which is funnier after Game2's video, but you know.
Oh, yeah. Game2 before the game is like, I'm laning really well recently, and then he gets solo killed.
And I don't mean to meme him because, right, he's been undefeated with this team since he's come back. I just don't feel like he's very self-aware of his strengths. His team fighting, insane. Insane team fighter. Amazing, great team fighter.
He's good at being dived.
Yeah.
He's just not that great at the 1v1.
He's great at outplaying dives, but yeah.
Oh, dear.
I don't know. That's funny. But hey, FPX actually going to use this Baron to try to siege down. We need to keep in mind, DMO do have Infernal. I do still believe if FPX close the distance, they will win out.
It's worth mentioning, Shockwave whiffs there from doing B, and that is going to be the goal button now. LWX the target. He stepped way too far forward. Xiaopeng can tank a lot better than you can, my friend. That's a pick.
He had flash up too, which is surprising. He just didn't flash over the pillar, but obviously still feeling threatened. But yeah, whipping the Orianna ultimate was definitely the go button for the side of DMO. So decisive in taking advantage of that. And now Baron buff might not matter. They might be able to secure some structures for themselves.
And now Caitlyn finally gets to do Caitlyn things. They get to siege onto the face of FPX. This is what DMO have wanted to do all game.
Yeah, and they're finally, you know, getting some pressure. We see them now. I expect these two to maybe transition to the mid lane as well to play with the Caitlyn. And the trap's coming out as well, like you talked about, zoning FPX from the wave. It is still an Orianna, though, so he's going to clear quite fast.
I love how Shubin has gone for the Bloodthirster, so he can basically play Aphelios light. Still has the shield, still has the lifesteal there, it still has the insane range.
Massive shields too, right? You have, you know, shield coming out from Bloodthirster, shields coming out from the Lux.
Potentially has the Bloodline passive as well, so bonus lifesteal to stack that shield up. We'll have to see, though, now what the call is for DMO, because Elder Drake is spawning in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, Lyric. That's a lot of twos right now.
The thing is, we're just in such an awkward place for either team to really break the base down without a fight, because, I mean, again, we saw the wave clear coming out from the Orianna. Even the Aphelios, right, going to do a great job at clearing these waves, so setting up these sieges is going to be massively hard for the side of DMO, and, you know, Jax realistically shouldn't be able to dive Gimgoon at an inhibitor turn, be able to take that, because, I mean, FPX should, you know, all be in their base, should be able to react to that quite easily. So we're going to come down to that Elder fight that we talked about, and maybe DMO can come out ahead. But once again, I just feel like my LPL senses are tingling, and it says FPX.
Yeah,
but the other side has Infernal Soul.
I'm on the same page because all of the advantages are for DMO right now. Compositionally, it can work here with the Jax. We just don't often see it work with things like the Jax. The Infernal Soul is there. Elder's coming up in a minute and a half. If Chalitza can get to the top side and pressure, instead of Xiaopeng being the one split pushing, it can look amazing here for DMO.
We also need to remember that FPX's comp is very reliant on hitting this massive wombo, right? Hitting the big Orianna ultimate, hitting a massive Moonlight Vigil from LWX. So, again, we're going to keep using the term, you closing the distance, getting in range to deal all the damage onto the side of DMO. So we want to see either a massive flank coming out from set or, you know, a death sentence onto a crucial member from the side of DMO. But we also have a bunch of QSSs coming out now, even the Banshee shield for Twyla. So it definitely feels like this is going to come down to Tien finding a massive flank or even just Dwinby hitting a miracle ultimate by himself.
Come on, DMO. You got this, guys. I want to see DMO win this. I want to see DMO get their 7th win of the split. Against FPX, it would be something amazing. But also, extra losses, even individual games, matter a lot for FPX here. They need this win, honestly. They need every single game win they can get.
Their game differential is not as good as RNG's, and RNG is, you know, coming up on their heels. So really important for them to secure this.
Tian off to the side here. 22 seconds for the Elder Drake to spawn. Laser going to go wide, but let's be honest, he doesn't have any AP anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Huge hit onto Chris there. That was just one headshot. So the aftershock going to come into play, but Xiaopeng is a lot tankier than you are. The slow from the box doing a lot of work. As Tian, you can see him off to the side, trying to find a way in. Redemption will keep everyone healthy.
Oh,
DMO
Tien
stepping in. Crisp gets a hook onto Xiaopeng. Tian off on the backside, but Crisp is taking a beating here. This long-range fight is exactly what DMO wants.
Exactly. We said, hey, Tien needs to be the one to find a flank. He knows that. He's trying to find it, but not having a great angle. And now we see Shubin answering wave in mid, so going to put even more pressure onto the side of FPX.
Come on then, DMO. This is your moment of glory if you can take it. You just got to reach out and grab it. The Caitlyn traps being set up in advance here. Twyla trying to get a scatter the weak. Gimgoon would love to find a way to step forward and get involved in the play here. We're going to see Shubin just shove out mid. I'd love to see Chalitza somewhere else on the map making things happen. But you know what? If it's working, keep it going here. LWX is stuck in the back of the pit. Does have his splash available.
God.
Here we go, Baron. Oh, Elder is low, but it's going to be Shubin caught down. Tian chases him through. Chalitza is the next one to go. Oh, it looked so good for a moment for DMO.
How does this even happen?
But FPX are going to get themselves this fight here. It's going to be 2 for 1. Xiaopeng is alive, though, and Tian actually went down. No way. Xiaopeng might just be able to get this one for himself. LWX flashes forward, though. He wants himself a highlight reel. Yui somehow gets a kill with the light binding onto Crisp. There's Gimgoon now in a 1v1 against the Trundle, but loses his defensive stats to that ultimate. Yui just trying to survive 2 and B's low. This looks scary, even with the support items. Xiaopeng now trying to run away. Death's Grasp gonna pull him in. Uses the QSS on absolutely nothing there. Gonna be bent down, but the blast cone gets him out to safety.
And at least FPX should be able to take an inhibitor off this, but man, I do not know how in that Dragon fight we got to a point where LWX is alone in the pit, 1v1ing Shubin somehow.
I don't know.
What? We need a replay of that one.
Why is Jax in the team fight? Split push, please, DMO. I'm begging you.
I can kind of empathize with him in the sense that if he's not there, you're giving FPX that window.
TP.
He does have, but you're giving them that small window. But this, I don't understand what we got here. How LPX is alone on the opposite side of the pit. All the opposite members of DMO on the opposite side. And
like,
Shubin just walks into him.
1v1 me, bro.
Okay.
All right, let's go again. Let's do this one again. Chalitza jumping into the fray. Tian has already gone down. They got themselves the Elder. I take it all back. The team fight Jax is the way forward. Xiaopeng still surviving. Healing up, actually, with that subjugate. It's 4v4 indeed. Ace in the hole might just be enough here. With the Elder, it's ticking away. One more hit. No! The QSS comes through at the last possible second. He gets himself some lifesteal. Chalitza, I don't know why, but he's 1v4ing here. Laser across an Elder as well. Yui looking beautiful. DMO goes down. The better mage wins. And now in towards the base.
I've never seen it be so hard for a team with Infernal Soul and Elder and that have like a 5k gold lead to win the game, but I mean, at least looks like DMO are potentially winning the game.
They're going to Baron. I feel like they could have just closed this. I feel like they could have just run through bot and ended the game, but they're going to go for Baron here. And you know what? Tian's up in 5 seconds. I think this should go down safely enough.
Yep, I definitely agree. I mean, there would need to be some kind of crazy shenanigans for this to go down.
Look, this is FPX. There is always crazy shenanigans.
Death Sentence Baron steal?
Let's see it. Laser comes through. Death Sentence. Ah, not quite enough. Hey, it looked cool, though. The towers are going down to the base, by the way, because there are super minions that DMO didn't notice.
I mean, we have been at the point for a long time that, I mean, the next like big team fight win is really what's going to decide this.
We're going to see FPX stall this out for another couple of minutes, and then DMO is going to TP and backdoor, and that's going to be how the game ends, isn't it?
Let's go. Lichbane, Orianna.
That's probably not going to be how the game ends because the inhib is about to come back up. And we reset for a second here. There's still a minute on this Elder buff. There's 2.5 minutes on the Baron, though. DMO, we've been talking about it all game, how great they are at sieging. And we're at a 45-minute mark now. Though.
I wonder what this Lux ult cooldown is at this point, right? Because, I mean, look at it. It's already about, you know, I mean, it's halfway up now. He just used it 5 seconds ago.
The irony of that ability being called Final Spark when you get to use it every 20 seconds seems a little ridiculous. They're just going to try and end the game here, though. Tian, Hex Flash over the wall, and then immediately hits S. He would love to get Shubin there. WX taking a huge amount of damage. The minions are going to be clear.
FPX need to pull the trigger.
Down. This is going to be a redemption into the team. Chalitza kept safe. In goes the showstopper. Haymaker across everyone as well. Pulling in onto Chalitza, but they're winning the fight here. DMO are going to do this one. I cannot believe it. LWX did get a double, but he's going to make it happen right now because Shubin is just going to end the game. You've got to get onto the Caitlyn, but I don't know if they're going to be able to close the gap here. One or two more autos, but LWX is onto him. No way! No way do they hold on! FPX still in it!
What is this? How does that even happen? And DMO were actually trying to. They weren't even trying to go for the kills. They were trying to take the Nexus. We see pigs coming out onto DMO's base.
No way does this happen every time. FPX.
Oh my god.
This is going to be a 2-0. How does FPX get a 2-0 here?
Hey, we have 20 seconds on Twyla. Is it going to be a 2-0?
This is one of
No, Twyla's going to come up in time. I don't feel like this is over.
I don't know. There's an Aphelios on my screen right now. I think they still just do this one. The inhib is going to ruin it all, though. I'm not sure. No, it's not for another minute. They could just end the game. Game2 is happy to tank.
Twyla's up in 2.
I guess LWX is happy to tank right now. They're going to get onto the Nexus. Twyla has to do something beautiful here. Something miraculous. Takes one down. LWX is going to go down as well. Oh my days, don't do it, B.
Oh my god. How was this a 2-0? Why is DMO versus FPX so hype? Why is this such a good series?
What just happened? But FPX, hey, in terms of the standings, they get the 2-0. They keep themselves